Okay. Guys, let me know if you can hear me, because I was having some issues with the audio. I was trying to play a video earlier, and it was getting a lot of static, and I'm not sure if the speakers are working properly or what. So if you can hear my voice okay, just let me know in the chat room. Are you hearing an echo or static or anything? Okay, looks like we're good. Excellent. Okay. We're doing this on a Sunday again because I had to work yesterday, and just a heads up, next weekend may be a really busy one for me. So I don't know when the video is going to happen next weekend. I might have to push it to Monday for all I know, but when I know something, you guys will know something. Anywho, let's get started. Let me just shrink that down a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, let's do this. Impact Wrestling from August the 25th, which, as it turns out, was Turning Point. Why don't we just talk about the knockout stuff first? Because I feel like that's what's going to inspire most of the debate about this one. Something positive here. No Gail Kim. In fact, Gail didn't even appear on this show. So, for one night, just one night, the spotlight in the knockout division was on someone other than Gail. Sadly, that appears to be the only way that any of the other knockouts ever get any real attention these days. So I appreciated that. So let's talk about the match. Well, Billy goes over Maria's head and books this title match, where the champion didn't even get her entrance shown, by the way. No DQ match, as it turns out. Although I had no idea it was a no DQ match until after it was over. And let's be honest, the match is kind of a mess. It's not a good match. It's not supposed to be a good match. It's a glorified angle built around spots to showcase Allie being the fish out of water, having no idea what she's doing, and then winning the title in this one in a million fluke. Never mind the fact that this made Sienna look bad, and it made Jade look bad for not noticing that Allie had somehow fallen onto a pin cover when she was literally 5 feet away. Don't get me started. And just like that, yeah, Allie is the new Knockouts champion. Meaning that Sienna's whole title reign ended up being a complete throwaway, just like Jade's was before her. They made Sienna the champion, and then did absolutely fucking nothing with her. You seriously could have had Jade just keep the damn title until now, and it wouldn't have changed anything. Except one of the future stars of this division, the supposed new monster heel knockout, wouldn't have had her first championship run be reduced to an afterthought. What the hell happened to meaningful title reigns in this division? Does the Knockouts champion have to be named Gail Kim to get any kind of fucking respect? Apparently. This is really frustrating. I love Allie. I love the character work she's doing. As a performer, she's killing it. I thought she was the star of this match, and based on her acting alone, just because of how entertaining she was. She was legitimately funny. The stuff she was doing in this match was funny. But I can't support this. In the last few months alone, TNA has taken the first Knockouts title reigns of Jade and Sienna and completely thrown them under the bus. And for what? What the hell did it accomplish? Nothing. Call me old school, but I think when someone wins the title for the first time, that should fucking mean something. But it didn't with either of them. They did nothing with the title after that because the focus was still on Gail the whole damn time. So what, are you going to do the same thing with Allie now? You just going to have every woman in the locker room swap the title around until Gail wins it back? There's something wrong with that. It's like the title doesn't mean anything to anyone unless Gail has it. It's a sad state of affairs, really. And yet, I heard those Allie chants in the crowd after the match. So, if there's a silver lining here, it looks like Allie may get over as a face because of this, which appears to be exactly what TNA wanted. You know, those wheels have been in motion for a couple of weeks now, so at the very least, it looks like Allie Forrest Gumping her way to a championship win was done for a reason. And in hindsight, I don't think you could say that about Jade or Sienna when they won the title because of what happened afterward, or didn't happen, as it turns out. But this Allie thing may have been designed to work this way. You know, Maria starts being mean to Allie. Allie starts to look sympathetic. Allie wins the title. The fans start to get behind her. So if Maria turns on Allie now, and I mean just turns the heartless bitch dial up to 11, which provides the motivation for an Allie face turn, honestly, I think that would work. I do. Of course, Allie would still be playing a character who can't wrestle, but at least she'd be playing an over character who can't wrestle. That's a step in the right direction. I'm not going to call this a good segment or a bad segment because, quite frankly, Sienna deserved better than this. You know, she deserved to get some kind of spotlight, some kind of attention devoted to her during her title reign, but she didn't. And you could say the same thing about Jade before her, really. But despite that, and despite my distaste for how they've handled the Knockouts Championship in general for most of this year, it looks like something productive may still come out of this, as long as they don't drop the ball with Allie, at least. So we'll see. But backpedaling a little bit, the real through line of this show was the EC3 Drew Galloway stuff. And they were coming back to this periodically throughout the night, so you knew something big was going to happen here. And they were doing this summit thing where the two of them met at a hotel or something to have a drink and hash things out. And it's filmed the same way they've been filming all these other off-site segments they've been doing lately. You have to suspend your disbelief a little further when they do this type of thing because it does look more like a TV show than a wrestling show, and I'm getting used to it. And the audio still... Okay. Just checking. And I ended up liking this quite a bit, actually. You know, the writers took the road less traveled here, where instead of trying to build the heat between these guys even more, they tried to cool it off. You know, they talk about everything that's happened between them in the last couple of months. You know, EC3 accidentally costing Drew the title multiple times, and you know, they seem to come to some kind of understanding. And there's a sense of eased hostilities by the end of this. You know, even when Drew pushes EC3 into the pool, it's done in good humor, not out of like malice, because of, as they acknowledged here, they are still friends. We've never really seen that on the show before, but you know, the point is there's a mutual respect there that's worth enough to them that they're willing to put aside their issues for a few minutes and not try to kill each other. So when Drew finally snaps after the match in the main event, it feels more meaningful because now you understand what Drew is throwing away by doing this and what must be going through his head to push him over the edge. You know, the character work here was subtle, but it was really effective. And it's kind of interesting how they built all this... They built this whole storyline, potentially, you know, teasing this EC3 Drew Galloway feud, and now it looks like it's shifting to Galloway Aaron Rex, and it doesn't feel inorganic at all. It feels like they earned that. You know, the match itself was great, and I thought everything was booked perfectly here. You know, there's no funny business. Aaron Rex doesn't try anything. He's an unbiased official, calls it down the middle, and EC3 still wins clean. So Galloway loses his shot at the world title again, but this time there's no excuses. This time he's got no one to blame but himself, but instead of taking it in stride like his character suggests that he would, he snaps and directs the blame at somebody else. You know, really, really well done heel turn here. I think this is going to be just what Drew needed, honestly. And he really kicked Rex's ass, too. I mean, the back of his head went right into the ring post. Ouch. You know, this whole angle was great stuff. The highlight of the show this week, easily. And we're jumping around a little bit this week, but next up is this Battle Royal where the winner gets a world title shot. I thought Lashley did a pretty good job in commentary during this, but the match, to me, did not come off terribly well. I think there were like 10 people in it, and you know, half of them were just clowns and jobbers that had no business even being there. And Grado and Shera, the Tribunal, the Bromance... Like, Jesse, okay. But why is Robbie E in there? Why is Robbie E in there? Come on. So, excuse me. So there were really only a few people in the match that could have conceivably won this. Thankfully, they were the ones it came down to. I think Mike Bennett winning is great, but they are really stomping on the gas pedal with his breakup with Moose. And they kind of telegraphed this afterwards with Lashley confronting Moose and saying, hey, let's go get a steak and talk about this. And so now Moose is probably going to turn on Bennett when they do this match or something, and the whole thing feels really rushed. I mean, Moose just debuted a couple of weeks ago, and they're already turning him? Why? Why not just debut him as a face if you were going to do this so quickly? I mean, if you're gonna start him out in a certain role, fucking commit to it. When you change it up almost immediately like this, you give the impression that you don't really have a set plan for the guy. I mean, yes, Bennett's ego getting in the way and causing the breakup makes sense, but it's all happening so soon. I haven't even had a chance to get used to him in his current role, and now it looks like he's going to have, another one pretty soon, Moose is. I mean, I really wish they would have taken their time with this more. And then, oh boy, it was time for Matt Hardy's requisite God-only-knows amount of screen time. But before him and Nero can really go on for too long, thank God the Decay show up. For the first time in 2 fucking weeks. To put a stop to it. What follows are some really good promos by all 3 members of the Decay, on top of Matt's indecipherable ramblings. But I'll admit, for the most part, I had no damn clue what anyone was talking about. In addition to Matt wanting the tag titles, he's also ranting and raving about how he had like some prophetic vision about how crazy Steve is going to kidnap Maxwell or something. So naturally he had to bite Steve because that's what Matt does now. He bites people. Only Steve seemed to like it because he was laughing the whole damn time. Wow. This tag team title feud is going to be fucking bizarre, and therein lies the problem. Your characters like these tend to work best when you play them off more grounded characters who can put over how strange these motherfuckers are by reacting like you are fucking out of your mind, and it really freaks me out. But when both teams are such fucking wackos, the feud becomes more about, well, who can do weirder shit than the other person, and the winner is whoever acts like the biggest freak at the end of the day. Plus, who the hell are we supposed to be rooting for? Because by my count, everyone's a fucking heel here. Except for maybe Jeff, who's probably more of a tweener now. It turned out to be an entertaining segment, but this was weird shit, man. Weird shit. Also, they had Abyss challenge Brother Nero to a match, which, to be honest, was not that good. It was slow-paced and kind of sloppy. I don't know what happened here, but the match did not come off well. But at least Abyss won, thanks to the timely interference of Rosemary, chalking up at least one win for the Decay in this feud, so there's that. Later on in the night, we have another installment in The Fact of Life with your illustrious host, Eli Drake. And this time his guests are the entire X Division roster, which at the moment is like 6 people. So they do their best to promote this match next week. That's going to crown a new X Division champion after Lashley did what he did with the title last week. Honestly, I prefer they save that until Bound for Glory. I don't know why they're not saving it until Bound for Glory. It makes sense to wait until then, but why not build it up? Because they don't care. It was nice to see a few of them get to talk, as they rarely have a chance to do that. Spud dressing down everybody was funny, although I felt like DJ Z's comments about how, oh, you don't know anything about the X Division, probably could have been directed at management. Yeah, the most interesting part for me was when DJ Z addressed Lashley, saying that sooner or later someone in the X Division was going to beat him. Okay, good. That's something that needs to happen, and hopefully it'll be the next champion that does it, because until the next champion scores a win on Lashley, at some point his championship reign will never be legitimate. Lashley is always going to be the uncrowned champion until someone beats him. And I don't mean like some stupid fluky win either. I mean in a way that the X Division title would have changed hands if Lashley still had it. So then they all fight and they do some high spots and stuff, and I don't know if they ever got around to saying what the match they're going to have next week actually is. I'm assuming it'll be an Ultimate X because that just seems to be the writers' go-to gimmick when they have no ideas for these guys. At least the X Division got a segment to do something other than high spots for a change, and that was refreshing, but I felt like more could have been accomplished here. And that's pretty much it. The main event angle with Drew and EC3 helped save this show for me. Take that away, and I don't feel like this was a strong impact. It was nice to see the X Division guys get a talking segment for a change, as that does not happen very often. The Decay Hardy angle was interesting, but I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. The Knockouts title situation is something I can't support. I mean, Allie may get over from this, but it really feels like they just threw Sienna's whole title reign away like they did with Jade. And, I'm just not happy about the way they're treating that championship. In addition to how, I'm not happy about how they're treating the X Division championship, quite frankly. And outside of the main event, the matches were actually pretty subpar this week. So, a really strong main event angle, but the rest of the show was not so hot, in my opinion. Okay. Okay, let's get your questions and comments answered because I actually have to go to the store a little later. Let's see. And no Jane Cena and great crowd reaction for Allie. Yeah. Yeah, I heard those Allie chants. And from what I hear, we're going to be hearing more Allie chants as this angle progresses in the next couple of weeks. So I'm not happy about the title change itself. I don't like how Jade and Sienna's title reigns were treated. It kind of seems like everything that doesn't involve this Gail Maria feud is just not important and just not worthy of being treated respectfully or anything. And unfortunately, that includes the title. However, like I said, the silver lining is that Allie may get over from this because this apparently was by design on the writer's part. I don't think this wasn't an accident. They intended to do this hoping that they would get this kind of response for Allie, I think. And it seems to have worked, and that's good. They could very easily drop the ball on it because Allie is not Gail Kim, so they're not going to give her a lot of attention, most likely. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. We'll see what she does with this. I'm optimistic that she can pull it off, but let's not kid ourselves. Anything that's not the Gail Kim Maria feud right now is just going to be, in the back seat. So we'll see. What's your thoughts on Billy Corgan as president of TNA compared to guys like Hogan and Bischoff? I feel like Billy Corgan is there to help the company, and Hogan and Bischoff were there to help themselves, and that's the simplest way I can put it. If you haven't heard part one of that interview that Vince Russo did with Billy Corgan, I'd encourage you to go find it. Because I listened to that the other day. I think part 2 is coming next week. But, Billy comes off as a really intelligent guy who who seems to be there for the right reasons and has a good eye for what needs to happen and, what needs to be changed within the company. I think he made a great point about how they need to be organized better so employees know exactly who they report to and who's going where and stuff like that. And as I understand it, that's been a problem with the company for a long time. I've heard people say that, we don't know who we report to or whatever. From multiple people. Multiple sources have said this. Now here's Billy saying, yeah, we got to get this fixed. Also Billy has hired a new songwriter to compose new entrance themes. Uh, which I mean that's needed to happen for God knows how long. I guess the majority of their entrance music has been done by Serge Salinas, Dixie's husband, and Dale Oliver. I guess they were kind of sharing duties there, and they've come up with a couple good themes over the years, but for the most part, everything is really generic. And in recent times, the quality of the music has just dropped off a cliff. I noticed this during the Knockouts match this past Thursday. It's like, God, every theme is just so generic. It's like you can't even tell them apart. You don't know who's coming out when they make their entrance. And so yeah, Billy's hired a new songwriter to help with that. So he's making good decisions. He seems to know what needs to be fixed and what works and what doesn't. Um, and he's not like pimping himself all over the show. He's there in little spurts, little segments here and there, but for the most part, he's not there to hog the attention. And I feel like that's mainly what Hogan and Bischoff were there to do. Is just hog the attention, get paid, get themselves over, and then check out. So I think Billy is there for the right reasons, whereas Hogan and Bischoff were there to help themselves. I may be overreacting about this Knockouts situation, but the Knockouts title needs to be retired. Bring a new women's title with a new lineage. Call it the Vixen, Sirens, or Goddess title, whatever. No, you're not overreacting. I've been saying this for a long time that the Knockouts title should be retired. I was saying that when the time came that every knockout on the roster had been a multi-time champion. It's like, well, once you've reached that point, that title ceases to mean anything. Because then it's not the title that's difficult to win. It's not the title that only the best in the division are good enough to hold. At that point, it's just the revolving door title that everybody gets a turn with. So it doesn't really mean that. It doesn't really mean what it used to anymore. So yeah, I even wrote a fantasy booking column. That's I think it's still on TN Asylum or it's on the blog. About how they could have done this, how they could have introduced a new championship and revamped the roster at the same time. I think this was a couple of years ago. But yeah, go to tnathreshold.blogspot.com. Yeah, it's on there. Let's see. If they had to give the title to anyone, it should have been Marty and have Jade chase her to Bound for Glory. I disagree. I disagree. Marty hasn't really been built up. I think if someone's going to win the title for the first time, you should build them up first. Marty. I mean, they're doing more with her lately, but she hasn't been prepared for the championship run. I don't think they've really gotten her over yet, and she hasn't really. It's not like she's gotten a whole lot of credibility building wins. I think she beat Jade one time, but otherwise, I mean, it's not like they focused on her at all. So I disagree. I mean, at least Allie was kind of in a position to capitalize on that, which we saw. It seemed to work, but Marty, no, I disagree. I don't think that would have worked out. Allie won the title, and Sienna and Jade were protected by Madison getting pinned. So there's that. I still maintain that they made them both look bad. This, it becomes harder to take Sienna seriously when she's kind of playing the straight person to Allie's comedy act, which was kind of here. She was trying to to direct traffic with Allie. You're doing the move wrong. Turn around, or hey, stay back. Don't you come in here and mess up this move for me. And then she just gets nailed with the baton by accident, rolls out of the ring, and Jade attacks Marty, but then she just rolls away when Allie has the pin cover right right there, and I don't think they made those two look good, and I wasn't happy about that. Madison, on the other hand, holy shit! I mean, she sold the living fuck out of Jade's package pile driver because she was unconscious on the mat afterward for like 2 minutes straight. Wow. So that's one positive there. They made Jade's package pile driver looks like it could kill a person. Buried 3 new talented knockouts just to put Gail Kim over at Bound for Glory. Yeah. I'm so paranoid about this. This is probably all leading up to Gail and the title of Bound for Glory, isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, you see this. Maria is getting more and more annoyed with Allie lately. Now Allie's the title. Allie has the title, so they're just a hop, a skip, and a jump away from Gail and Maria having a match at Bound for Glory with the title in the picture somehow. And we saw how Maria earlier this year told Jade to hand her the title after Jade won it, and Jade was like, "Fuck you." So is she gonna pull that something like that again? Because Allie is not Sienna. Allie's not gonna stand up to her. And then well. I'm not happy about it. I've said this the whole time. Gail and Maria is not a feud that needs the title. And you might as well just let the other girls fight over it so they have something to do. But if Gail and Maria is the number one feud, the only feud that really gets focused on, in addition to being for the title, well, then the other girls don't have anything. And I lost my place again. Where am I? Oh, for God's sake. Thought it was interesting to hear the delete chants on Raw. Yeah, that was surprising, wasn't it? Bubba Ray, the Dudleys left WWE on Monday. And in his in their speech during the segment, Bubba Ray mentioned the history they had with the Hardys, and there was a delete chant. All the fans in the crowd were doing like delete, delete, delete. It's just Jesus Christ, of all the things to get over, and you kind of. I mean, I know that video went viral, but holy shit, man, that's didn't see that coming. I really didn't. Did you hear the fans chanting my name? Allie, Allie, how do you think Maria would handle the title win? Oh, awesome. Yeah, so they're definitely going to have Maria do something to Allie, whether it just be have like Sienna beat the shit out of her or have her hand over the title or something. And like I said, I do think this is going to get Allie a lot of babyface heat. Because that's something that Maria's really good at, is helping other people get over. I mean, she's shown a real talent for that since they signed her. So I think with Maria to play off of, I think Allie this is gonna help her character a lot and gain a lot of popularity. So that's one positive here. Sienna is being booked like shit. I feel so bad for her. She should be the one with the Gail Kim booking. It's hard to argue that. I mean, if she's supposed to be the monster heel, she has been booked surprisingly weakly, and I don't really have an explanation for it. Allie got people chanting her name. I haven't seen that in TNA in a while. Yeah, in a way, she kind of reminds me of Roxy. That underdog baby face that people just kind of naturally root for. It's really strange because I would not have put Cherry Bomb in this type of role. That seemed like playing against type to me, but goddamn, she pulled it off. Uh, After Gale goes over like TNA wants, what next? Good question. They kind of bypassed this storyline a little bit. She was supposed to have to go through every knockout, but they did manage to protect some of them. So she didn't have to beat Rosemary. The Jade match ended in a DQ, even though Gale was about to win. She didn't actually get the victory, at least. So I guess you could argue that at least they thought they protected Jade there. What I'd like to see is this: if Gale goes to Bound for Glory and wins the title somehow, which is probably going to happen. I'd like to see her come out on Impact on Thursday, like the following Thursday, and say, look, for my first title defense, I want to give Jade the rematch for the title that she never got. So Jade comes out, and they finally have that like 20-plus minute one-on-one match with a clean finish. I want Jade to win, and then have that championship reign that she should have gotten the first time. Because really, the storyline is about Gale winning the title. I don't think it's not about her keeping it. Plus, she's already had several very lengthy reigns with that belt. She's not going to do anything with it that she didn't do before. I think there's a lot more they can do with Jade as the champion. Because Gale as the Knockouts champion is nothing new. I mean, at that point, she's gone into the Hall of Fame. She's had her big moment of glory at Bound for Glory. So, try something different afterwards for a change. Let's see. Trevor Lee actually cut a fine promo in the Fact of Life segment, but it was shown in the Fight Network version only. Also, Andrew Everett cut a promo, but he wasn't so good. Wow, all that stuff got cut out. Would have been nice if the other guys got to talk. Seems like Fight Network gets a lot of extra features than the version that I'm watching. Of course, I don't have Fight Network. Heel Drew equals intense matches. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think this heel turn is going to do his character a lot of good. By all accounts, he's much better as a heel, so I think this is going to work out best for everybody. They should have done a slow burn on Drew's heel turn, but other than that, it was well done. I think they did do a slow burn. This was set up for a couple of months. Yeah, they took their time with this one. I don't really have any complaints. There was a delete chant at the Universal Championship belt at SummerSlam. Wow. I haven't actually seen SummerSlam yet. I was busy that night. Well, I probably will watch it at some point. I've heard from a number of people who did see it that the show didn't really meet their expectations. But yeah, the general consensus on the Universal Championship is that most people don't like the design. Seems like a lot of their new title belts kind of look the same, just with like different color schemes. It's weird. Let's see. Drew should have lost by Aaron Rex not seeing that Galloway's leg was under the rope or something like that. Either way, loving heel Drew in 2 minutes more than him as a babyface. No, I disagree. I think if he had lost with some kind of excuse, it would. How do I say this? If he had some kind of reason to be angry, you could kind of understand where he was coming from. I think the reason why this worked is because this time there was no reason, there was no excuse, and he's still he still he took the heelish route. This time, like I said, he had nobody to blame but himself. But instead of blaming himself, he blamed Aaron Rex for no reason, and that's what makes him a heel now. There's a very fine line between turning heel and just being a pissed off babyface. And yeah, Rosemary owned Broken Matt on the mic. Yeah, I think pretty much all the Decay did. Yeah, Gale can't even be compared to Cena anymore because Cena did put over AJ Styles clean. Speaking of that, thoughts on Cena putting AJ over? Yeah, the Jane Cena name feels a little awkward now because Cena hasn't been uh, quite the same John Cena lately because he did put AJ over, put him over clean too, and the John Cena of a couple of years ago might not have done that. Of course, Cena is going away for a little while to shoot a movie or a TV show or whatever, so. Now, obviously, putting over the guy who's going to be staying around in his absence was the right call to make. But yeah, Cena did the right thing for business. Put over AJ. I was happy to see that. AJ is doing great. I'm happy to see him having a lot of success. I didn't expect that to happen. I figured he'd just put him in the mid card and kind of forget about him, like they had with Neville, and like what's happening to Apollo Crews right now. But no, they put him in a top spot, and he's getting over huge, and he's having a lot of success, and I'm happy for AJ. I don't. There was that ugly business where how TNA almost re-signed him, and apparently he walked out of a handshake deal. It was just a messy situation, and I'm not sure who was really to blame for that, but I just preferred everyone just move on. It happened. Let's just put it behind us. Let's see. I like how they're letting Crazy Steve talk more. So do I. And I was against that at first because I thought him not talking was what made him more of an interesting character to me. But then I saw, he's got really great mic skills. Okay, yeah, let the guy talk. So yeah, that's working out really well. Thoughts on Finn Balor's injury? Who do you think will be the next champion of the Galaxy? Universal. I felt really bad for the guy. He spends all that time in developmental, and he makes his big debut in the main roster. His first big match is for like the Universal Championship, and he wins the match, wins the title, but then gets injured and he's out for who knows how many months. It's just, oh god, the timing could not have been worse. I felt so bad for the guy. Who do you think will be the next champion? God, who the hell is in that match? Well, they're not. It's too soon for Cass. Who else is in it? Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, I think one other guy. Was it? No, it's those four. Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Cass, and who else? Seth Rollins, I guess. Oh boy. I'd like to say Kevin Owens, but my brain is thinking Roman Reigns, which I don't like the idea of because it's well, for a lot of reasons. I feel like they might go with Roman Reigns though, because I felt like they were trying to establish this big new babyface with Finn Balor, and he goes away, so fill the spot of one big babyface, they're going to try to create another, even though it's always going to be a round peg in a square hole with Roman Reigns. Okay, let's see. Do you think Bram will join or feud with the Decay when he comes back? I find it weird that there's no continuation with him. I don't know. I feel like him being off TV right now is by design. It's like he got taken away in the Decay's trunk, and then we don't see him or hear from him. So I think they're probably building to some type of angle where he comes back in a surprising way and either helps them or takes them out. Maybe at Bound for Glory in that match with the Hardys. So he'll show up in this big twist and he'll either help them win or cause them to lose. And I'm not sure which. But I feel like there has to be a reason why we haven't seen or heard from him since then. See, Moose and Bennett breaking up is way too soon. They should have had Jesse win. Fresh match and an opportunity for him to make him a serious face. Um, yeah, Moose and Bennett breaking up is too soon. I agree. It's just happening so fast. It's like so fast. It's like, well, why even put them together in the first place? Again, like you barely get used to the status quo before you're just dropping a bomb on it, and as a result, I mean, the breakup doesn't even mean anything. It doesn't. Uh, had Jesse Goddard's win. You know what? That would have been okay. Yeah, Jesse Goddard's has improved a hell of a lot. I like Goddard's on his own. The problem is, take an opportunity to make him a serious face. Well, I don't feel like that's going to happen as long as he's with Robbie E. I said this on the heel cast. Uh, Goddard's on his own, could be something to pursue, but when he's paired up with Robbie E, it's like the worst thing that could happen to him because when they're together, Robbie E's worst qualities rub off on Jesse, and then they just revert back to the douchebag clown act. And I feel like it's doing Jesse no favors. I don't know why they go this route with the bromance because it doesn't work. The douchebag stuff, it didn't work when they were heels. It doesn't work when they're faces. And it seems like TNA sees something in Jesse that they don't see in Robbie. So I don't. But the problem is they're kind of a necessary evil. The bromance are because the tag team division is in the state that it's in right now. So yeah, I'm all for giving Jesse a shot, but I'd like him to be a serious character too, but I just don't think it's going to happen right now. Even though he would be a lot better off for it. Also, thoughts on Nikki getting the first title run of a new women's title. I fear for Becky and the other women in the division. WWE sees Nikki like TNA see Gale. Oh boy. Nikki Bella potentially being the first SmackDown Women's Champion, I think it's stupid. You have this woman who was on the shelf for like a year, or almost a year, something like that, and then she comes back and within a couple of weeks she wins the women's title. I really hope they don't do it, because it's not that they care about realism at all, but I think it's stupid for her to kind of jump ahead of everyone in line and win the title that quickly upon her return when it would make more sense for her to be the underdog and trying to get back into the swing of things after she was on the shelf for so long. Of course, I also think it's stupid for her to be flip-flopping between face and heel, face and heel, face and heel already upon her return. I mean, she shows up on the heel team at the fucking pay-per-view, and then 2 days later, she comes out on Tuesday and she's a fucking babyface. So nothing's changed with the fucking Bella twins. I mean, before Brie retired and Nikki went on the shelf, they were changing from face to heel and back again all the fucking time, every week. Hell, they changed from segment to segment depending on the needs of whatever promo or angle or match or storyline they were involved in. There was just zero fucking consistency. And now it's right back to that shit. It was stuff like that. It wasn't the only reason, but it was one of the big reasons why Nikki's title reign was so fucking bad. Why it got stale and nobody fucking cared about it. And now they think, if we put the we make Nikki Bella the first SmackDown Women's Champion because she's really credible and whatever. No, she's fucking not. Okay, yeah, she held the Divas title for a long time, but one, that title ring got really fucking stale and everyone was calling for her to lose it, and two, she didn't do that by herself. She had Brie in her corner the whole fucking time. It's incredible. Nikki Bella's got no fucking credibility. And plus, they're so gung ho about this new era stuff. And you're gonna make the inaugural champion a woman who represents the previous era? No, it's stupid. Give it to one of the new girls. Give it to fucking Becky Lynch, the woman who should be the top women's babyface on SmackDown. No, they're gonna have it be Nikki Bella now. It looks like. Why? Nikki is a terrible babyface. She's not a good heel either, but I mean she's better at being a heel at least, because she's kind of an unlikable person in general. Thoughts on the rumors of a second final deletion between the Hardys and the Decay? There's no rumors. I think they're actually going to do it. Apparently they've shot a ton of stuff at Matt's house, and they're going to do some kind of angle there where the Decay invade and try to kidnap Maxwell or something. It's not surprising. The final deletion was a big success, and it got them a big ratings boost when they needed it. So obviously they were going to milk this thing for all it's worth. Unfortunately, by its nature, the final deletion was really something you could only do once, because it worked in large part because it was so different. But if you start doing that all the time, you kind of lose that. So I'm sure they'll pull something really crazy out of the hat here, but because apparently they upped the budget for this, so there's going to be some kind of really crazy, bizarre shit going down here. I just worry that they're gonna take the shine off this by doing it too much. And kind of like how they've done with a lot of their gimmick matches. Like, I don't get excited for ladder matches anymore because they do them all the damn time. Ultimate X, same thing. They've done way too many Ultimate X's. So if they start doing this final deletion stuff all the time, it's not going to feel as special. And also, another reason it was effective, they advertised the hell out of it. In really creative ways. They sent out pre-screeners to people who filmed reaction videos. And so you knew this thing called the final deletion was coming up. And a lot of wrestling fans heard about it, and they were like, what the hell is going on here? I have to see what all this is about. And now they kind of know what it's about. And they're saying, oh, they're doing it again? Okay, well, is this going to be as big as the first one? So I just feel like it's not going to be as special as the first time. Although with the Decay involved and with a much bigger budget, who knows? I'm curious. I don't know if it'll be as effective as the first one was. Mr. Fuji passed away. Yeah, I heard about that a few minutes before I started this. Apparently, Mr. Fuji's gone, and that sucks. I never really know what to say when something like this happens, because I don't really have a lot of memories of Mr. Fuji, but it's a damn shame, and I hope he goes into the Hall of Fame this year, if he's not in there already. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to the Hall of Fame, but it's really unfortunate. Abyss versus Nero was horrible. Abyss is way too out of shape, and Jeff is way too beat up. Does Jeff really have to wrestle every week? Well, not surprising Jeff is beat up. I mean, my God, the guy has been doing suicidal high spots on almost every show for a while now. I mean, the guy's got to be in a lot of pain right now. So, plus, you've got Matt there saying, no, you can't do high spots. don't go to the top rope. You wrestle honorably or whatever, and just there's a lot of things hindering that match. Jeff can't be 100%, and now you got Matt saying he can't do the stuff that people like, and Abyss is just he's beat up. The guy doesn't have a ton of spring in his step anymore, and it's just the result just wasn't very good. Allie got more of a reaction in that one match than the Bromance ever have in their time. You're kind of right. That's the crazy thing. You think TNA would take a hint and try to re-gimmick the Bromance or something? Just make him give up on the stupid clown shit. What have they got to lose? It's not like they could be less over. Do you think that the Aaron Rex song was written by the new songwriter? Because it sounds like Dale Oliver worked to me. Yeah, that was. The new songwriter, Sherry Shaw is her name. There was an article about this. Forget where I read it. It might have been Rolling Stone. If you go to tnasylum.net, the general discussion thread, and scroll down, I posted a link to this article. But yeah, Sherry Shaw is her name. She used to write music for Resistance Pro, and she wrote the Aaron Rex song and the Bromance's new one, and she's written a song for Marsh Rocket, who has not debuted yet. But yeah, that was her. I'm glad Galloway turned heel, which was needed, and the Decay and the Broken Hardys was awesome. Allie winning the Knockouts title was nice. The Battle Royal was too much of a clusterfuck, and the FOL thing was nice. Okay, let's see. Thoughts on D-Tam getting his Twitter account suspended by WWE for his GIFs. He got suspended for posting GIFs? Oh, jeez. It seems awfully harsh. Poor Maxwell is going to be traumatized for the rest of his life being in an angle with all these monster-looking people. Oh, yeah, and imagine if they actually do the angle where Crazy Steve kidnaps him. That kid has got to be so confused by what's going on. Oh, boy. I hope the Decay versus the Hardys match is not just a standard match that needs to go all out in its weirdness. Maybe have it at a different location during Bound for Glory. Well, I think we can expect we can certainly expect it to go all out in the weirdness, especially if this delete or decay thing goes down. Like I said, it's Final Deletion 2 with a bigger budget this time, so they're going to do some really crazy fucking shit. I don't know what the Bound for Glory match is going to be like, but I'm sure we can expect a lot of weird, crazy crap to happen. Because that appears to be the only avenue this feud can take. Because unlike with their other feuds, there's no straight man here. They're all just out of their mind. So they can't really having a regular match is not really an option in this case. I hope they save the X title coronation for Bound for Glory, Building 2, and Ultimate X. I'd like to see them build it just a regular match, actually. The Ultimate X is just a fucking crutch. I mean, I love the match concept, but it's been used entirely too much. And I'd like to see them just build to a normal match and make that mean something, you know? Maybe have a tournament and then have it climax at Bound for Glory in a simple one-on-one match. And don't do a lot of... the Ultimate X has been overused to such an extent. It's like the ladder match. I don't get excited for these things anymore. And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. I thought you considered the Decay as tweeners. Also, I can see Jeff screwing Matt during the title match. Yeah, I do see the Decay as tweeners, but I mean, if they're gonna be kidnapping a baby, how can they not be heels? You know, I think if they were facing anyone else, maybe they'd be tweeners. But this doing in a storyline like this, it's kind of hard um, for them to stay in that gray area. So that's part of the reason why this thing is so messed up. I mean, you need somebody to root for, and if Matt's on one side, then I'm rooting for the guys on the other side. Of course, I'm rooting for the Decay in any case because they're awesome. But then you have them. Oh, I had this premonition that they're going to kidnap King Maxwell. It's oh man, I want to root for the Decay, but you have them kidnapping a baby. It's like, oh. Ironically, they might be better influence on it than Matt and Rebby at this point, but Jesus Christ. Ugh. That kid is going to need so much therapy in a few years. Um, they're making a New Mutants movie, which I think could be really cool and different, especially with the characters that we'll have in the movie. Yeah, they announced the lineup. It looks like it's going to be like the original New Mutants lineup. And I've got a bunch of the original New Mutants comics. I really liked that title back in the day. I didn't collect it during the original run, but I got the back issues, most of them, and I really liked that. I really liked that title. And they're gonna have Cannonball in there. I love Cannonball. That's cool. Um, Although characters like Magic and Warlock are characters that are going to need a lot of explanation because it's like, well, it almost feels like them trying to do too much because there's just so much backstory that goes into Magic in particular, and then Warlock. Okay, we've got this techno-organic alien on the team now too. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see some of these characters in the movie. Because Cannonball's been one of my favorite characters for a long time. If they make an X-Force movie, should it be rated R? Not necessarily. Some incarnations of X-Force wouldn't necessarily have to be rated R. I think some of the more recent ones would have. I think there was a run where X-Force was like the Black Ops team of the X-Men that just existed to like kill threats before they became threats. I think that was when Deadpool was on the team and Archangel was at his had just become like this remorseless killer, or like this, like a schizophrenic, where like the Archangel persona took over and he just became this unstoppable killing machine, and stuff like that. And X-23 was in there, and yeah, that version would have had to be rated R. But if they're going for like the original version, it was like Cable and Warpath and Boom Boom and Domino and stuff. Nah, I think they could get away with PG-13. Let's see. What do you think about Marvel doing a Runaways show for Hulu? Well, I've never actually read the Runaways comics. I've flipped through them a little bit, but I understand they've got a lot of fans, so that's cool. Good that we had a new Marvel show. I don't know why they're not doing it for Netflix, because they already had to deal with Netflix. But more Marvel TV? Good. Let's see. I liked Drew turning heel, but it lacked any type of shock because we knew it was building up to that. But then again, if he just turned heel out of the blue, it would be shocking but make no sense. I mean, there's more than one way to turn a character heel, really. I mean, there's the shocking, there's going for shock value, or doing a type that you built up to it, so it means more when it happens. Um, it's more than one way to break an egg, basically. I think back to the original Edge and Christian breakup, which in my mind may have been the greatest tag team breakup ever, maybe that I've seen, because it was probably the best handled in my opinion, at least the ones that I've seen. But yeah, they built up to that for a long time. How Christian just getting more and more like dissatisfied and resentful, and then finally turning on Edge. But you knew it was coming because they built up to that a lot. It didn't make it less meaningful when it happened, though, because it was executed perfectly. I think it was a lot like it was kind of like this. You knew it was coming, you knew that heel turn was coming, but they built up to it and they executed it right. So when it happened, it meant something, and that made up for the lack of shock value. At least in my opinion. Do you take offense to PWR mocking TNA because for a brand that still, after almost 20 years, can't compare to Meltzer, Alvarez, and PW Torch, they really shouldn't be throwing stones. I'm not sure what happened. PWR mocking TNA. I hadn't heard about that really. Haven't really paid much attention to that. I don't know why we have to go around mocking people, I guess, because it's the fashionable thing to do. Mocking this company or that company because it gets views for your site or gets buys for your brand or whatever the case may be. Um, Meltzer does that a lot because it gets some attention, stuff like that. I think it's stupid. I think, if you're a real wrestling fan, why would you want to go out of your way to mock another company? Wouldn't you want the other company to do well? Wouldn't you want every company to do well? It's stupid to me. I mean, I've got a lot of problems with WWE and ROH. I'm not going to go out of my way to mock them. I'll point out the problems I have with them, but I'm not going to give them shit for no reason. The WWE kind of deserves it. Thoughts on Bobby Roode's glorious theme song? I'm not really a fan of the song personally, but kudos to him for it really getting over really fast because that glorious bomb thing is kind of taken on a life of its own, and apparently it's a big seller. I guess they got it on iTunes or something, and a lot of people have been downloading it. So hey, good for Bobby Roode. Again, I'm happy for him. I'm not a fan of the song myself, but a lot of people seem to like it. Since Cable will be in Deadpool, should Cable bring the newer cast of the X-Men movies into the present the way we don't have to see them just in the past? Honestly, I don't. If they want to do Cable in the Deadpool sequel, okay. I don't think that's the first time. I don't think that should be the first time we see Cable. The first time we see Cable should be in either like a Cable solo project or an X-Force movie. That's how I was introduced to Cable, But I don't want his first appearance to be playing Deadpool's straight man, in a movie that's going to be largely comedic. And yeah, they've got a lot of history together in the comics, but Cable's his own character. I don't want him to be the guy who keeps a straight face while Deadpool is cracking wise about everything. Besides, it looks like Deadpool is kind of going to be its own thing. It's going to be a little removed from the X-Men. I don't know if there's going to be any continuity there. I'm sure crossovers are coming eventually, but for right now, it looks like the X-Men are their own thing and Deadpool is his own thing. I'm not sure where or how Cable is going to fit in there continuity-wise, but I imagine Fox don't have any idea either. Because they seem kind of clueless when it comes to their superhero properties. Let's see. Thoughts on the whole Seth Rollins controversy and Brett doubling down on his thoughts on Seth being reckless. What's the Rollins controversy? Haven't been paying much attention to that. Brett doubling down. Brett said the Seth being reckless. This is the first I've heard about that, actually. Who would love to see Kimberly and Kaylee Ray come to TNA and have Kimberly and Allie reform the Kimber Bombs, have Sutter with them, and have a feud with Bennett and Maria and Sienna? Oh, I would love to see Kaylee Ray come to TNA. I've been wanting that. I've been wanting that for years. I still get legitimately angry when I think about how TNA passed on her in British Boot Camp 2. It just makes me so mad. Kimberly, she's really talented also. Be cool to see the Kimber Bombs in TNA. That'd be really cool. I'm worried that TNA wants Gail to hold the record for the most reigns, which would mean that she would need to win the title 2 more times to overcome Angelina. Yeah. I don't like it either. I think it's dumb. I don't think Gail needs to have that record. She has so many accolades already. She's been glorified so much already. Does she really need that too? You can't let the other girls have something. I'm not going to say that every title reign Angelina had was good, but, love it or hate it, she earned that accolade of having the most title reigns. Does Gail need to overcome that in addition to everything else that Gail has? Let the other girls have something. I mean, if Angelina's record gets broken by someone someday, so be it. Does it have to be from Gail? Why does Gail need this? She's already held the title a lot, had a lot of lengthy reigns with it, and like I said before, she's not going to do anything with the title that she hasn't already done. There's a much more interesting story in her not winning the title again. I've gone over that before ad nauseum. Boy. This is a 2-part question. If you were in charge of creative for Raw, who would you have win the Universal belt on Monday between Owens, Big Cass, Rollins, and Reigns? If it was up to me, probably Kevin Owens, I guess. Rollins had a very lengthy run with the title. It didn't go over well through no fault of his own. It's just the way he was booked. I think Reigns winning the title would just be going backwards because he's got more pressing matters, like finding a way to get the audience to not shit on him every time he comes out. Although I did hear about a rumor that they might be thinking about a Reigns heel turn, which would really be for the best, honestly. But yeah, I'd probably go with Kevin Owens, just to do something different. I don't work backstage, but it's obvious that the running of the company is really disorganized, and that should be fundamental. Yes, exactly. And that's one of the things Billy Corgan talked about in that interview with Vince Russo. So that's something that he's working on fixing. You should go find that interview. It's a really good interview. Do you think there will be 2 knockout matches at Bound for Glory, or just the Jane Cena versus Maria match? I'd like there to be 2 matches, but honestly, if they're doing Gail versus Maria for the title, which may very well end up happening, what else do the other girls have to do? Are there any other feuds? Not really. There's, I guess Jade and Marty is still a thing, even though they said it was going to be the last match in the second match they had. It's not really Bound for Glory worthy, though. I don't know if the other girls will have anything to do that's worth a match of Bound for Glory. They might, do like some big multi-woman match just to fill a spot. Otherwise, I'm not sure. To be fair, no one with the exception of Rosemary has been built up. That's true. And with Rosemary, it's mostly just character stuff. She really hasn't wrestled that much. And she had that match with Gale, and which she won thanks to tons of interference, but she still won. And I think she's been in some multi-person matches or mixed tags or some stuff, but she really hasn't wrestled that much. At least it kind of preserved her mystique, though, for the most part. And I lost my place again. If you could go back to 2012, which knockouts would you release and which ones would you keep? Oh boy. Trying to remember who was on the roster at the time. I think back then I was still a fan of the strategy of just dropping a bomb on the division. I think I said that before. You know, you keep one or two of the current girls for recognizability and star power, and just get rid of everyone else and bring in a whole new roster from the independents. I think I said that at some point. But yeah, I think at that time the division was just really stale and really needing a fresh like infusion of new talent. So I was like, okay, just rip the band-aid right off. Keep one or two of these girls, just get rid of all the other ones. It's not like a lot of them were doing anything really interesting. Let's see. So Justice League Dark has been greenlit with Doug Lyman as director. Thoughts? Who would you cast? Well, my thoughts are that it feels like way too soon to be doing this. This is going to be like an Elseworlds tale, right? Or like an Earth 2, like a parallel dimension type of thing. I don't really follow DC stuff. I'm not really sure what Justice League Dark is. I guess it's I don't know. From what very little I've heard about this, I guess it's going to be some kind of parallel universe type of thing. I don't know if it'll fit in with the DCEU or how it will. I think Constantine is going to be in it somehow. It feels like they're trying to get too creative with this. This feels like, oh, Suicide Squad was a big hit, so let's do the same type of thing. Let's get a bunch of morally questionable people together and form a team. So they're doing what feels like it's the buzzworthy decision to do right now, rather than something that makes sense from a creative standpoint. You know, Marvel, if they were smart, they'd take the Marvel approach, where they take their time and set things up slowly and properly, so when they happen, they mean something, and just introduce their characters and their concepts slowly over time, and you take their time and really do it right. But no, DC is just being really gung-ho and trying to do everything way too fast, and that's why we had Batman v Superman, which was really trying to be like 6 different things at once, being the first meeting of Batman and Superman, but also being the death of Superman and the introduction of Wonder Woman, and then setting up Flash and setting up Aquaman and setting up Cyborg and also introducing Doomsday when he really shouldn't have been there at all. It was trying to do so much goddamn shit. You really could have made like 5 or 6 movies for everything they tried to do in that movie. It was 5 or 6 movies crammed into one. And honestly, I don't know how you go from Superman to Batman v Superman to Suicide Squad. You know, in a properly run, expanded universe, Suicide Squad would have been down the line. You know, one of my criticisms about Suicide Squad was that this was our introduction to a lot of these characters, and it felt like this should have come after we'd seen them before in other things. You know, Joker and Harley, certainly. And now we're going to be doing this Justice League Dark thing. Okay, so our introduction to Constantine in the DCEU is going to be in a Justice League Dark thing? I'd like to see Constantine in his own fucking movie first. You know, a John Constantine movie, or at least a good John Constantine movie, is something that could, they could make a lot of money with. Okay, the TV show didn't work out, but the TV show wasn't very good. It didn't fail because the character sucks. So my thoughts on Justice League Dark, I think it's happening too soon. Who'd you cast? I don't know. I don't even know who's going to be in the damn thing. I heard one rumor about maybe Colin Farrell as Constantine. Seemed like good casting. Although ideally, I just want Matt Ryan again. Probably not going to happen. Do you think Nikki will be booked to win the belt due to the fact that Daniel Bryan is the SmackDown GM and Nikki's father-in-law is Johnny Ace? No, I think Nikki will probably be booked to win the belt because she's sleeping with John Cena. Yeah. Even Naomi is more deserving of the title than Nikki. Nikki Cena, yes, she would be a transitional champion at this point, but still deserves a title run. Oh, another thing about Nikki Bella. Isn't she supposed to be on like a part-time schedule now? I thought after her injury, wasn't it said somewhere that she couldn't return full-time and she was only going to be wrestling part-time? So you're going to put the title on her if she's only wrestling part-time? Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. I wanted to ask this last week, but I wasn't on. When I heard about Ascension to Hell, I thought it was going to be the return of Elevation X. Turns out it was just like a ladder match. Is there a chance they do a final deletion cinematic universe with spin-offs of Senor Benjamin and EC3's Mocking Broken Matt? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm sure they're going to be doing more segments like the final deletion. They're kind of already doing it. I mean, you've seen stuff like the Rosemary backstory and like the summit with EC3 and Drew. They're filmed in kind of the same way, production-wise. So I think you're going to be seeing more stuff like that. More impressions of Broken Matt, please. Brother Nero, I knew you'd come. Oh, boy. Will WWE do another final deletion ripoff after the Hardys and the Decay have their match? I don't know. They did it once, didn't seem to make any waves. No one was really talking about that afterward with the New Day and the the Wyatts. Not surprised, because it was like I said, Vince was trying to copy the final deletion without really understanding what made it work, and to my knowledge, it didn't really change the viewership in any kind of major way. So Vince tried it and it didn't work. I think he'll probably just move on from it. How come EC3 hasn't transitioned into movies? He's a great actor and good looking. He'd be a great action star, I think. Well, maybe he will. You never know. I mean, he's charismatic enough. He could have some acting opportunities coming up, but it's a matter of getting attention. And TNA doesn't really have a lot of mainstream publicity right now. If the opportunity comes along, I imagine he would try to get into acting. Be really good exposure. Let's see. These are the pre-replay numbers. Since the final deletion, they've done 350,000 plus on nearly every episode, but before final deletion, they hit that mark only once. 2 weeks after final deletion, they got their third highest viewership. Last week, they got their second highest, 373,000. Since final deletion, they've also gotten their fifth, sixth, and seventh, 358,000, 355,000, and 350,000. Yeah, so it's paid off. They got a boost in viewership, and they've managed to hold on to it in large part. And I'm out of water. So let's think about wrapping this up in the next little while. Because I don't know how long my throat will hold out. I always worried that one day the TNA is going to get rid of the fact of life. Those promos are the highlight of the show. I love the dummy button and the promo between Storm and Drake. I love the dummy button too. I know some people say he uses it too much, but for me it's kind of like a Family Guy gag where it starts and maybe it's not funny at first, or maybe it's funny at first, but then it goes on so long that it becomes not funny anymore, but then it just keeps on going, and then it somehow slingshots back to where it's funny again. That's the dummy button for me. I think Mel Gibson should play Cable. No. That would not be a good idea. Mel, he's not a very popular guy these days. Also, I think Stephen Lang needs to be Cable. Because have you seen Stephen Lang? He is Cable. I can't imagine better casting. Rebby is going to be wrestling again, yay or nay. Plus, having 2 women involved in a final deletion would make it new and different. Rebby wrestling again, yay or nay? It depends. As I understand it, she wasn't all that great before she got pregnant. People, I wasn't terribly familiar with her. People told me she's better than Velvet, but that's not saying a whole lot. And I don't think she's wrestled since she got pregnant. So at this point, she would be very, very rusty. I mean, it would have been like 2 years since she wrestled. So, and I don't know if she's been training or what, but I can't imagine she's going to be as crisp as she used to be. If she was crisp in the first place, I don't really know. Yeah, so I'm not, honestly, Rebby wrestling again, I'm not terribly optimistic that she's going to be very good to start out. Maybe if she, starts training again heavily, she can improve, but we should probably expect her to be really rusty. Let's see. And I lost my place again. Holy shit. There we go. And WWE copied TNA's final deletion, so shouldn't those PWR asshats be shitting on WWE for that? Yeah, well, they're not going to be shitting on WWE because that's not the popular thing to do. Let's be honest, shitting on TNA is just what people do, what people in the pro wrestling journalism community do to look cool, It's just the in thing to do, to shit on the redheaded stepchild, Okay. Do you think Gail, if she wins the Knockouts title, will get any reaction like Allie did? If Maria is involved, I think she might. I think when Gail tends to get, even though crowd reactions in general for Gail have noticeably tapered off in the last year or so, she tends to get reactions when she's got Maria to get heat off of, because Maria is really good at generating heel heat. So if she's got Maria to bounce off of, I think people might forget about the Gail Kim resentment and cheer Gail, because that does seem to happen when Maria's involved. I don't know if she'll get a reaction exactly like the one Allie got, but I think she'd get a pop if she beat Maria. Josh Matthews is starting to remind me of the squeaky voiced teenager from The Simpsons. That man ate a large shrimp and 3 plastic lobsters. uh, If only Taryn and Brooke were still in TNA, how much better and interesting would it be? Clearly, the focus would not be on Gail if Taryn was still in there. I don't know. I think it would still be on Gail. Maybe not all the focus. The division really took a hit when Taryn left, because it seemed like if they had anyone that they were willing to put on an equal playing field with Gail, Taryn was it. And when they lost her, man, that was a kick in the nuts. And losing Brooke, that still pisses me off. I mean, Taryn, I guess, wanted to move on from wrestling, but Brooke, like, she left out of frustration, I guess. And clearly she was not happy about having the title taken off her for no reason when she just won it. And that was such bullshit too. She should have kept that title. I mean, there was no reason for Gail to win it. No fucking reason. They just had Gail win the damn thing for after they'd had all this build up to Brooke winning the title back, and Gail wins it, and then suddenly Brooke's not there anymore. Draw your own conclusions, but I would have been pissed off if I was Brooke. That's for damn sure. They should have made more of an effort to make Brooke happy. That was horse shit. Let's see. Justice League Dark will be part of the DCEU. Constantine, Deadman, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, and Etrigan. Oh, boy. Okay, Zatanna could have her own movie. Swamp Thing could have his own movie. Constantine should have his own fucking movie. Etrigan should have his own fucking movie. A Deadman, I don't know who he is, but a lot of these people could have their own movies, or at the very least, show up as supporting players in other movies. And it's like you're doing a team-up movie without doing all the individual movies first. And you've got years and years, you've got a rich roster of characters to work with, years and years and years of potential solo movies, and yet they're just washing all that away and going right to the team-ups. Okay, they lucked out with Suicide Squad making a lot of money, but imagine how much more money it would have made if they'd done those individual movies and introduced those characters beforehand. Like if they'd waited until the new Batman solo movie, and maybe introduced Joker and Harley there, and then gone to Suicide Squad with them already established. The same thing with Deadshot. Maybe introduce Deadshot first, and then put him in Suicide Squad. So we wouldn't be meeting him for the first time in Deadshot, so there would be an investment there, so more people would have cared about Deadshot and Harley and Joker. And it's the same thing here. You could do other movies that introduce these people, and then put them in Justice League Dark. It seems like there would be more of an investment in the fan community, but instead they're just throwing all these people in there cold. Like, did you learn nothing from the Avengers formula? Clearly not. Because they just want the Avengers level payoff without doing any of the work to get there. And I don't know why, because they could make a lot of money by doing the work. Thoughts on Daredevil Season 2? I liked it. I thought it was really good. I still prefer Season 1. Largely because I was really missing the Daredevil Kingpin dynamic in Season 2. I thought that was a big part of what made Season 1 work. And So, not surprisingly, the Kingpin-centric episode of him in prison was my favorite episode of season 2. And also, I felt like they were splitting their focus a little bit too much between the Punisher stuff and the Elektra stuff. Not that the Elektra stuff was bad, but when we were focusing on her, I was like, you know what, can we go back to the Punisher? Um, it kind of felt like they had a few too many balls in the air. It's still really good, but I felt like season 1 of Daredevil was a little more tightly focused. And also, the Kingpin was more of a compelling villain to me than what they had in season 2. Okay, so get your final questions and comments in now. Oh boy, holy moly, a lot of stuff here. I'm trying to think of a knockout that Gail put over clean, and it wasn't just Taryn. She hasn't put Jade, Sienna, Rosemary, Allie, Marty over at all. Well, she did job to Rosemary, but it wasn't clean. It happened after a ton of interference. I think you're thinking of Brooke. Because they had a match at, I think it was Slammiversary. The first time that Brooke won the title. Gail did job to Brooke clean in that match. Of course, they dropped the ball with Brooke's title reign later on. But, Gail did job to Brooke clean in that match. Have you seen Married with Children? Yeah. One of my favorite comedies of all time. Fucking love Married with Children. Who is Fourth Dimension Fool Killer? I know that he is a bastard and all because he once claimed that he was bigger than God, but isn't he your alternate ego or your evil twin or something? Oh, well, we're going back a while here. This was a couple of years ago. But something happened on Impact. I'm not even sure what it was, but I was really frustrated with the product at the time. And basically, I got so frustrated and so pissed off that it launched me into such a screaming fit that I accidentally tore a hole open in the fabric of reality and fell into the fourth dimension. And when I came back, he snuck in through the portal with me, and he's been with me ever since, much to my dismay. So that's how that happened. And you can go back to the Full Killer 99 channel and just watch the old videos, and it's all there. You'd have to go back a ways, but it's all there. How far back would it have to be? I think maybe 2000, maybe around 2010 was when he first showed up. Wow, that was a while ago now. Should they do the Dark Cyclops storyline for a future X-Men movie, or is it too redundant being that he has a Phoenix power? Which one? There have been a couple Dark Cyclopses. I think there was that time he was merged with Apocalypse. There was that time he was merged with the Phoenix. Honestly, no. I prefer they not do that. It's just there's so many other stories they could adapt before going the Dark Cyclops route. I think that's something that DC would probably do. I prefer they just keep things simple. They could do, and they could do Mr. Sinister. I guess they are doing Mr. Sinister, but they could do like the Morlocks, the Marauders, and we haven't even gotten a good Phoenix story yet. I mean, they sort of did one in X3, but it was terrible. But it looks like that's what Bryan Singer wants to do. Wants to do the Phoenix, and I don't think there's any reason to do a Dark Cyclops. I mean, they just reintroduced the character in the last movie. They could just explore him dealing with his powers and dealing with the Jean Grey thing, and the Dark Cyclops thing would be something way, way, way down the road. Like there's no reason to do that anytime in the near future. Thoughts on the Rock Vin Diesel feud? I haven't really thought about it. Apparently, Vin Diesel was rubbing the Rock the wrong way, on the set of the latest Fast and Furious movie. I don't really know what it was about. Apparently, Vin's a producer now, and he maybe got a little too big for his britches, and the Rock didn't appreciate it. I don't really know what happened there because I wasn't there, but you know, the movie will still come out. I don't know if I'll see it. I've kind of, I didn't watch the last Fast and Furious movie. I've kind of just lost interest in those. But as long as it doesn't affect their work, not really going to pay much attention to it. As much as I didn't like Bale's Batman, I think he should have been the one in Batman v Superman. Do the standalone shows and bring them up in crossovers like Marvel is doing with S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know. I disagree. Because The Dark Knight Rises kind of put the period at the end of Bale's run as Batman. At the end, it ends with him retiring as Batman, essentially. And so then, if he was going to be in Batman v Superman, then he'd have to explain why he came back and why he's Batman again and why Bruce Wayne has his company back after it was pretty much put out of business in the third movie. No, I think it made sense to reboot it. Besides, I think Ben Affleck did a really great job. But yeah, I think it made sense to reboot the character at that point. They couldn't really follow the same continuity anymore. Yeah, match catchphrases are getting over. Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Thoughts on what The Miz said about Bryan on Talking Smack? Yeah, I saw that. Feels like a work to me. Oh, it still feels like kind of like a cheap shot since Bryan can't wrestle anymore, and The Miz using that as ammunition against him. It's not like Bryan said anything that wasn't true. Let's face it, he did make a good point. I heard that WWE wants to do more work shoots like this to add more quote-unquote realism. I still think it still felt like a cheap shot at Bryan, though. Good promo, however. What do you think is more over, Broken Matt or version 1? And probably Broken Matt. Like I said, it's that gruesome car wreck you just can't look away from. You said on Twitter that you were jogging today. What's your workout routine? Well, I'm not working out today because today I'm taking the day off because I was working yesterday and today I'm kind of wiped out. It changes. Before I got sick, I was jogging 3 miles a day. I've got a treadmill. I used to go outside to jog. I do that a lot. But now I use the treadmill because it's when I go outside and I have to maintain the speed myself, I always end up going too fast, and I'm in a lot of pain afterwards. So with a treadmill, I can maintain a speed that works for me, and so I won't end up limping afterwards, and it won't put me in too much pain. So I can go at a specific speed and just maintain that. And I was doing 3 miles a day, just for exercise. And after I got sick, I lost a lot of weight, like somewhere between 10 and 20 pounds. And I would try. After I got better, I thought, you know what? I want to keep this weight off because I like being thinner, basically. So I just took those 3 miles and I figured, all right, screw it. Yeah, I was just kind of watching TV one Saturday night, and I was on the treadmill. Wasn't really paying attention. Eventually, I looked down at the the odometer or whatever it is, and I noticed that I'd gone on for like 6 miles. I was like, wow, I doubled what I usually do just out of boredom because I had nothing else to do. So I just hopped on the treadmill while I was watching TV, and I kept walking. And I was like, oh, I did 6 miles. Okay, you know what? That wasn't hard. So I'll just do 6 miles a day from now on. Okay, so I set aside some time every day. Uh, Sometimes I take a Saturday off or a Sunday off just to rest. And I jog 6 miles, and jogging. I jog slash walk. I could jog all 6 miles, but then I wouldn't be able to walk the next day. So I kind of switch off. I jog a little, then I walk a little, but I do actually cover that distance. My ankles were in a lot of pain though, because just maybe it was a little too much for them. So I got these copper fit things to kind of reinforce that. Work pretty well. But yeah, I've had blisters. I've had to cut off 2 of my toenails because they turn black and stuff. So it's painful, but I'm doing 6 miles a day, like 5-6 days a week, and I've been able to keep off a lot of the weight that I lost when I was sick. I'm kind of alternating between somewhere between 174 and 179, which is a lot less than I was at before, so that's good. Plus, I'm not eating as much as I used to. It's like my appetite is like destroyed since I got sick. I don't eat as much as I do at all. I have like a muffin for breakfast and then I'm fine until dinner. It's weird. Yeah, Stephen Lang is wonderful. I just saw Don't Breathe. Friggin' awesome flick. Really? Angry Joe didn't like it at all. But yeah, I saw Stephen Lang the first time in Avatar, and I figured, wow, if there's a more perfect guy for Cable, I don't know who he is. I mean, Ron Perlman maybe, but no, I think Stephen Lang is the perfect choice. Should the Dudley Boys come back to TNA? Oh God. I don't have a good answer to that question because on the one hand, the tag team division is kind of destroyed right now, and it could really use a team with some star power. But at the same time, it would really make me think less of everybody involved because Bully Ray was not shy about shitting on the company after he left. There was that whole karma crack when the Pop TV had technical difficulties at one time. Oh, yeah, karma. Karma for what? For making you a single star? For putting the world title on you? For letting you put Dixie Carter through a table? Only for you to walk out of the company a few months later? Yeah, fuck you, Bully Ray. Plus, they would probably bring Velvet Sky with them. So I would honestly, I would prefer it if the Dudleys did not come back to TNA, but let's be honest, this is exactly the kind of blind spot that Dixie has. She sees somebody like that, you're like, I gotta scoop them up. I don't care if they talked bad about me before, talked bad about the company before. I gotta have them. I gotta have them. It's absolutely a thing Dixie Carter would do, and I just hope that Bully Ray would prefer not to return because I would prefer they not come back. The only problem with Rebby wanting to wrestle is instead of focusing on Jade, Allie, Rosemary, Sienna, they will shove Rebby down people's throats just like they did with Gail. I don't. Maybe in the sense that it's probably Matt Hardy booking this whole storyline, so of course he's gonna want to highlight his wife. I don't think they would shove her down our throats as much as they do with Gail, though, because she's not Gail. And Gail is seated on a pedestal high above all the other knockouts. So I don't think they're not gonna spotlight any knockout as much as they do Gail. They're just not. I think Marvel may be making a mistake having Cloak and Dagger and the Runaways be shows. Both cry out to be movies, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think so. I think they could do Cloak and Dagger as a show easily. Um, I also think it would make a good movie, but I think there's enough there that they could do a show about it. I don't think that's a bad choice. Runaways, yeah, same thing. It seems to me like a less flashy type of property. Maybe not enough slam bang type stuff for a movie, but I think a show would work well. No, I don't agree with that. When will they pull the trigger with Jesse Goddard's? When the tag team division is in better shape, and the bromance aren't a necessary evil anymore. So when they get another couple tag teams and they can sustain a division, uh, without having all these other teams here just for the sake of having more bodies in the division that don't really they need the bromance around anymore. Then they'll split them up and have Jesse do a singles thing. I don't know when that will be. Do you think the lack of a TNA mid card is stopping Eli Drake? I think a lack of people to feud with is stopping him. I think they're doing a good job of featuring him. The Fact of Life thing is entertaining. They could use some more people in the mid card, though. Yeah. Is there any way in the future you can separate the wrestling questions and the superhero questions? Not everybody watches the superhero stuff. Well, when we get the comic show post show coming back when the new TV season starts, the majority of that ends up being about the superhero stuff. But I try to cover as many questions as I can when I do these live streams. So basically, when we get to the question and answer portion, it's basically the time for the people who tune in talk about whatever they want. I try to stay on topic. But if I'm just going down here after I talk about Impact, basically I just let people talk about what they want to. Holy moly. There it goes again. I still think TNA is missing having a knockout who is sexy. There are some average girls, but the shows still lack too much sex appeal. Kaylee Ray was perfect for that role. Makes me so mad. The sex appeal of the knockout division definitely took a hit when they lost Brooke. Damn. I think I got some hot-looking girls in there. Cherry Bomb is very attractive, I think. A lot of people seem to like looking at Raquel. And she doesn't do anything for me, but maybe in the minority on that. All looked clumsy to give the weak Allie character a lucky win. Great moment, horrible booking. Allie can't wrestle, has no wins, but is a champ via fluke. If you're putting the belt on her, make her legit. Normally, I would agree with you. I do agree that the other characters looked bad. But not every championship needs to be legitimate. And I think in this case, the point is that it's not legitimate, that it was a fluke. But they're taking a character that is entertaining and has begun to look sympathetic, and they're giving her this huge surprise win that she's really excited about. And it worked. It got her over. There were Allie chants in the crowd afterward. Of course, she's not gonna look legit because the character is not an experienced wrestler. She's supposed to be a novice who just got lucky with this 1 in a million shot. And it's like winning the lottery, you know? Yeah, you feel good for the person who won the lottery because, hey, they really lucked out. But I think the point is going to be to take it away from her. And then you feel sorry for her. And that's what gets her over. Let's see. Hope now that Allie is the champ sets up Allie versus Rosemary. As much as I want to see Allie versus Rosemary on TV, they wouldn't really be able to do it justice right now. Because Allie is still a novice. Yeah, I think after they develop that character enough where she becomes a good wrestler and they're able to utilize her to her cherry bomb potential, that would be the time to pull the trigger on that feud. Because I don't want to see them do it half-assed. I want to see them really go for it when that feud happens. I think Warner Brothers is killing DC. Them pushing Batman and Harry Potter is the reason why we didn't have as many other characters movies. I'm not sure what you mean by this. I mean, Batman is a big cash cow for Warner Brothers. Of course, they're going to focus on him. Harry Potter was a massive franchise for them, and you mean them continuing with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is the reason why they're not adapting other properties? Look, Harry Potter is a proven brand. And they've got J.K. Rowling involved. You know, she's writing the scripts for the Fantastic Beast movies. Of course, they're going to continue on if they think they can make money off it. I don't disagree that they're really screwing up the DCEU. But it's not like we can expect them to use less Batman. If anything, they're going to use him more because it's fucking Batman. Favorite cuisine? I don't know. I don't really have one. I eat steak a lot. I make pesto a lot. Uh, the hell else do I eat? I stir fry from time to time. Make mashed potatoes. Just nothing really fancy, you know. It's just simple stuff I can make around the house. Do you think Mandrews should be getting the DJZ push? No, I think DJZ should be getting the DJZ push. I want to see Mandrews get used more. You know, we saw him get some crowd chants during that segment on Thursday, but I think DJZ is the guy to run with right now. Do you think they could bring in Bully Ray without Devon and Velvet, or do they come as a package? My guess is they would come as a package. And that's why I don't care to see it. Buy or sell, DC Rebirth or Marvel Now 2.0? You know, I'm not really reading either. I'm not a DC guy in general, so I don't really know what this Rebirth thing is about. Apparently, it's as I understand it, they're going back to the pre-New 52, but it's different. So it's the old universe, but it's different. Like with elements of the New 52 still added, like the Black Wally West is going to be in there, even though the old Wally West is still there. So you're going to have two Wally Wests, and you're going to have the original one and the new one, and they're both Wally West, but they're like cousins or something. So you're going to have just who the hell knows? But the original Superman and Lois, who somehow joined the New 52. So there was the New 52 Lois and the original I'm not saying this right. You had the New 52 Clark and Lois and the original Clark and Lois who got into the New 52 universe somehow. And they're older now and they have a kid, and now they're coming back to the old universe in their new incarnation as the older couple with the kid, and it's really confusing. I don't know what the hell DC is doing. I don't even try to figure that shit out. I don't read the DC comics. With Marvel Now, That's kind of weird too. I think the changes are less severe with that one. I guess they did the whole battle world thing as a way of just getting rid of the Ultimate Universe, which is fine because they kind of ruined that universe anyway. With a couple changes thrown in, they go back to the old universe, but now Miles Morales is there, and the evil Reed Richards is there, and then everything else is more or less the same. And then they just fast forwarded like 8 months, so a bunch of changes could occur. Um, Mainly with, I guess, with the Inhumans and the X-Men. Then everything else continues on as normal. Oh, except that Peter Parker is rich and has his own company now. That I kind of like, actually. Um, so if I had to choose, I'd say sell DC Rebirth and buy Marvel now. But I'm to be honest, I'm not really buying either of them at the moment. Uh, I'm putting the cutoff point in here, and that'll be it. So get through the last of these questions. Uh, Was that new bold guy, I think you mean bald guy, a pointless signing by TNA? The guy fighting in the X Division? I can't remember his name. Braxton Sutter. That's Pepper Parks. I don't think it's a pointless signing. I think he's been fine. I think he's performed well enough. He hasn't had a bad match yet. I think the problem with him is that he's just kind of misplaced in the X Division because he's not an X Division style wrestler. And also, he needs some kind of character. But I think the guy himself is all right. I think he'd be better placed in the mid card or tag division maybe. I think he comes off as a bit generic right now, but the writers haven't really given him any attention yet. So just give the guy some kind of character. You know, give him some attention from creative. I think that's the only reason why he doesn't seem terribly dynamic at the moment. I don't think it's his fault. They just don't really know where to put him yet. Do you have special running shoes? Not really. Let's see. This is what I use. Yeah, they're light, not heavy at all. They think they work fine. Could probably get something else, but I'm gonna use these until they wear out. Have you ever come close to stopping the weekly TNA review? Uh, there have been moments where I wondered why I was still doing it, because there were times when I was really frustrated with the product in general, and also because I didn't want to. Well, when I was still editing like the reviews and like post producing everything, I'd spend a lot of time doing these things. Yeah, I have to make a lot of notes and then practice it a lot and then record it, which would take like up to an hour. And then I'd spend a lot of time editing it, and it took a lot out of my day. And for a while I didn't have the time to do all that, which is why I switched to the live streams. And I kind of prefer doing it this way now because it's easier. I can do it faster and quicker, and I don't have to spend all day editing the damn thing. Uh, you know, the time will come eventually when I have to stop and just do other things, but I'm still doing it now. All right, I think that's gonna be it for the time being, because I got to go to the store get some stuff, and I think that's all the best questions anyway. All right, all right. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Again, I don't know when the stream will be next week because next weekend looks to be pretty busy. I may have to push it to Monday or Tuesday or whenever. I don't know. I'll let you guys know something when I know. Until then, take care, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Later.